Hey folks, Jeff from Corrugated Cavalier here. I'm coming to you today with a topic that I'm very passionate about, which is falling in HEMA, and also a little bit about taking joint locks at the end here too. A lot of HEMA practitioners don't really seem to know how to fall or have some apprehension toward falling, and therefore an apprehension toward grappling and wrestling, etc., etc. And I think that's really an important part of HEMA. And even if you're not going to wrestle, accidents happen and you could end up falling anyhow. This is a skill that has really helped people in my club outside of the martial arts experience too. I haven't been teaching with my club that long, and at least 3 members of our club have told me, hey man, that fall training really saved my butt the other day. So this is really good skills to have. That said, this is my personal take on falling. I don't think that there's any necessarily wrong way to do it as long as you're doing it safely. So if you already have a system that works for you, that's great. Today I am going to be doing it on this brick patio. This is because a lot of HEMA clubs don't have mats, so they think that they can't practice falling. If you have mats, or grass even is better, much better than this, that's the best thing to use, especially when you're first starting out. However, that doesn't mean you can't train falling even if all you have is hard surfaces. In fact, in my opinion, you should train falling on whatever surface you typically spar on as well. This is one of my HEMA things where I will say should. I think it's a safety thing. It is a HEMA hill that I will die on, I guess. So I'm going to be showing everything on this patio here. Now, when you are on a hard surface like this, you really need to take things slow, and you need to just do this a little bit every practice, okay? This is not something where it's like, okay, I did fall training once, I'm good for the rest of my life. Keep developing these skills slowly, all right? So I'm going to take you through kind of a progression that I like. Yeah, we'll go from there. So I have 3 main rules when I'm talking about falling. Those 3 rules are, number 1, protect your head. Number 2, nothing hard and bony hitting the ground, such as elbows, knees, etc., wrists as well. And number 3, be as round as possible, okay? So we're going to take this through a progression. This first one is something that I learned from Guy Windsor, actually, called the Starfish exercise. So really all you're going to do is you're going to sit down on the floor with your legs apart. I'm going to take my left hand, put it to my right toe. I'm going to tuck my chin. Once again, this is the protecting the head part. I'm going to round out my back as much as I can. And if you can't touch all the way to your toe, that's okay, as long as you're reaching over this direction. I'm going to go down on this side, on the right side of my body, not the center of my back. Keeping my chin tucked, I'm going to roll across my shoulders over to the other side. And this takes a little bit of core strength, at a slow pace anyways, and reach over with my right hand to my left toe. Tuck the chin, round the back out, go down on the left side, roll across the shoulders, over to this side, touch the left hand to right toe. From the side, left hand to right toe, tucking the chin, going down on this side, rolling across the shoulders, right hand to left toe. If you build up a little bit of momentum with this, it will get closer to what happens when you actually fall, and it'll actually get a little easier on your abs. And that's the Starfish. Do that until you're comfortable with it and you feel no impact whatsoever when you're going back on the ground. The next step in this progression is to go from seated, or if you can, into a deep squat with your heels on the floor, like this. If you can't do that, that's okay. Seated is fine. Basically, all you're gonna do is, once again, round everything out as much as possible. Rule number 3, protect your head. Rule number 1, keep your elbows in. Rule number 2, which is nothing bony hitting the ground. Now, I don't want to roll straight back on this because that will be right along my spine. So I'm going to go slightly off to my left side on this one, keeping my chin tucked and my hips tucked in. And then on the right side. If you're having trouble keeping your hips tucked in, you can instead put your hands and arms underneath your knees to bring those to your chest. Make sure to still keep your chin tucked, of course, but if you're having trouble with this part, do this. Down on my left, down on my right. Now you can just start playing with this as well. Start diverting to the side a little bit. And I'll turn to the front camera so you can see that I'm going sideways a little bit more. So now I'm going sideways. I can do this protecting my head as well. Notice I'm not slapping. I don't tend to slap. It comes out sometimes because that's how I was originally trained. I'm not going to get into it in this video, but I do not slap for falling in HEMA typically, especially when we're not talking about falling with mats. Play around with this. You can just roll around and be a dumb little toddler for a while. Whee! You can roll across your shoulders too. This happens. There's nothing wrong with a barrel roll. It doesn't have to look pretty. So do that until you're comfortable and everything feels round and you're not feeling any impact when you go down, etc., etc. The next step is to do this from a knee. So I'm going to start with back falls. So I've got my right leg up, my left leg down. To actually fall backwards safely, I'm going to need to windshield wiper this leg in behind me. Going to tuck my chin, of course, protect my head. So as I go down, I'm going to round out my back by tilting my pelvis and tucking my chin, rounding out my back as much as possible. I am going to protect my head with my hands because I don't have a problem tucking my hips. But if you need to bring this hand to remind yourself to tuck your hips, that's fine. Go down slowly on this side, bending at the knee, going down on the hip, and then along the lats and this side of the back to the shoulder, and back up. Do this a few times on each side. And then switch to the right. Tuck, windshield wiper. That order doesn't necessarily matter. Now start taking this to the side as well. That one wasn't great, but it didn't still hurt. And take it to the side. So I'm taking it to the side. I'm still really using the same principle of trying to go along the side. My momentum is just going sideways rather than backwards. I'm still going. You don't need a windshield wiper in as much. Down on the hip, and then the side, shoulder, and back up. So we had Starfish, then we had from seated position or a deep squat, then we had one knee. Now I'm going to show how to do a front fall before we get to standing. This is my least favorite fall. The way that I was taught was really stop dead, kind of like, huh! I don't prefer that. I don't think there's any need to do that personally. I do kind of go down the same way, and this is the one time where I will catch myself with my arms a little bit. They cannot be straight out. This is when injuries happen. If your arms are bent somewhere between, I guess, 90 and 135-ish, and they're relaxed, you just need to protect your face as you initially go down. After you make this contact, the arms can bend, and then you can divert to a side fall so you don't bash your elbows into the ground. Like so. I'll show it to the other side so the camera can actually see. So I go down, divert to a side fall. I've never been in a situation where I can't do this. I don't find any reason to come to a dead stop personally. That is much more forgiving. You just can't have your arms locked out and then it's no problem, okay? That one's not as common, so if you don't feel safe doing that one yet, work your way up to it. It can come later. All right, so this is where we finally go to standing falls. This is where it might seem a little bit scarier, but I want you to think of it just like getting to kneeling first and then doing the fall. As long as you're not doing any high amplitude throws, like all the way over the hip or all the way over the shoulder, this does work out. So from standing, I'm going to think about the same things as I did when I was kneeling, all right? So once again, protect the head, nothing hard hitting the floor, round out as much as possible. So this leg's gonna come behind this one, because here I'm too stable, right? This one's gonna come behind this leg, even cross over if you want, and I'm going to curl into a ball as I'm going to the floor, tucking the chin, tilting the pelvis in, rounding out the back as much as possible. I like to still protect my head here. If you want to put your hands on your chest or by your knees, that's also fine. Go down. And there you have it. Just tucking as you go down, basically. You can take this really slow. So now I'm basically at the knee here. Okay. Then do it on the other side. Etc. I'm going to go a little bit faster now, just to show you that even on this terrible surface, I can still fall on this safely. Protecting the head. And even if I don't go down quite as easily, it's not a problem. As long as you're not throwing each other hard, it should be pretty easy. Right? That one I even hit my hip a little bit more than I would like to, but it still wasn't bad, because as soon as I hit, I start rolling. To the side. To the side. And I had a little impact on that one too. I'm still perfectly okay because I'm rounding out as much as I can. Front fall is going to suck a little bit on this brick. I'll just do a couple to demonstrate it, otherwise I'm going to scrape my hands up pretty bad. But front fall from standing, similar idea. You want to lower yourself to the ground as much as you can first, so I'm going to kind of get into a squat and kick my feet back. Once again, coming like this, using this to absorb some of the impact, and then immediately diverting into a side fall is what I'm doing. I'll go to this side so you can see my body's motion a little bit better. Okay, so there's a couple front falls. So thank you all for coming by the channel. This is a topic that I'm really passionate about. Please feel free to ask questions. You can get in contact with me a lot of different ways on Twitter. I have a Discord server. I'm not going to put the link directly in public, but if you can find me some other way. I'm on Tumblr now as well. TikTok, I'm on a lot of different places. So get a hold of me. I can invite you to the Discord server as well. I'm really happy to discuss this stuff. I really think falling safely is important. Take it slow, be careful. But yeah, I think it is really important. So once again, thank you for coming by. Please click like, share, subscribe, share this around to people who might find it interesting or hopefully useful. And come on by next time for some more videos. Be good to each other, and ciao.